All right, my beloved Manchester United fans, faithful lovers of football, kindly gather here. Yes, I know it's a late night broadcast, but then catch me if you can. Let us talk about the new ifab rule. Yes, there is a new rule from the football the games rule. Yeah, there is a new rule for the games now. IFAB, who happens to be the body that actually sets the rules for football this season, have come out with new but also modified rules, and I'm going to be reading them out to you. As we continue in this broadcast. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd want to give you a rundown of what has happened today in the Premier League. It's actually been a thrilling Premier League Saturday. We're seeing loads of goals from different teams. Actually, a lot of goals were scored in the Premier League this today being Saturday. I would like us to look at some of the games that happened today in the Premier League and talk about the goals in these games. Apparently, Sunderland, the game started today here with Sunderland against the Bournemouth. Sunderland traveled to Bournemouth to play against them, and that game ended 1-1. Yes, stalemates. It was 1-1 today against Bournemouth and Sunderland. Burnley, Brentford, that game ended 4-3 in favor of Brentford. Actually, Burnley looked like they were going to come back into that game because, Brentford did loads of mistake, later on in the game, and that almost allowed Burnley back in the game. Liverpool against West Ham. Liverpool won that game by 5-2. Yes, West Ham was able to get 2 goals back after Liverpool had gone 3 goals up. Then 1 goal from West Ham, then one other goal from Liverpool, another goal from West Ham, then Liverpool had to finish it off 5-2. Interesting game, right? Newcastle Everton ended in favor of Everton, 3-2. Everton traveled to St. James Park to beat Newcastle at home. And then the final game of the day happened between Leeds versus Man City. Man City traveled away to Leeds, and then Man City happened to win that one by 1-0. Man City was without Erling Haaland in that game. So you could see that it was goal galore in the Premier League today. So much goals, we saw 5-goal thrillers, we saw 7-goal thrillers, and it was goal galore in the Premier League today. So I think that the Premier League actually is one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best league in the world right now. And we have so many teams doing very well. This is the business end of the season, and we have so many teams right now doing very well in the Premier League. Liverpool is on course, right? They want to actually get Champions League football. They are looking for every means to do that. So they are winning their games right now emphatically, and that is one thing that I've seen with what's his name with Ancelotti. Ancelotti is looking at winning every remainder of the game that he has with with Liverpool. Also, we are looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers, who actually defeated Aston Villa, who is in 3rd place. If you look at the PL table, if you look at the PL table, you will know that Wolverhampton Wanderers is almost, if not relegated. Wolverhampton Wanderers should have been relegated, but then they have been managing to pick up points here and there. I know they picked up 1 point from Manchester United. They drew against Arsenal, and then yesterday they actually beat Aston Villa, who is in 3rd position. They beat Aston Villa by 2-0. That was a sensational game for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They are sitting pretty in the 20th position with 13 points. And if they are going to come out from relegation, they have to win the remainder of their games actually. But that's looking pretty impossible. Aston Villa in 3rd place actually lost their game, and now Manchester United against Crystal Palace looks now a more interesting game, because Manchester United will be looking at getting into that 3rd position. They are 11 goals difference while Aston Villa is eight goal on goal difference. Manchester United 48 points, Aston Villa 51 points, which means that if Manchester United is able to beat Crystal Palace, Manchester United will go into the third position, and that gives them leverage over Chelsea and drags them even closer to Manchester City. So if you look at it, it is actually very good. Head Kobe is injured. We've not heard anything like that. We've not heard anything like that on Kobe. Actually, we are expecting to get news on Lisandro Martinez, if Lisandro Martinez will be able to play against Crystal Palace. We've not gotten any news about Kobe being injured, but then we are going to find out in a moment. In a moment, we are going to find out if Kobe Mainu is injured. We know that Kobe has been a very instrumental player for Manchester United, right? And we will not want to any injury right now for Kobe. And the report says no, Kobe is not injured. That is the report right now. No, Kobe is not injured. So Kobe will be available for Manchester United against Crystal Palace. Also, let us try to get a news on Lisandro Martinez. Let us try to get a news on Lisandro Martinez. So Kobe is not injured. Lisandro Martinez, we are expecting Lisandro Martinez to be back. We are expecting Lisandro Martinez to be back anytime soon, and we are hoping that we are hoping that he might just come back anytime soon. The injury back from the injury has been said. The injury has been said is not a serious injury. Yeah, the injury is not actually very serious, and he might just be able to feature for Manchester United tomorrow. Yes, Lisandro Martinez is expected to return from his minor calf injury in a matter of days, with the most likely comeback being the game between Manchester United and Crystal Palace. So we are hoping that we are going to see Lisandro Martinez come back tomorrow against Crystal Palace. The calf injury was not serious, and he has gone through his scans and everything, and they consider it was an injury scare, and they decided to make sure that he actually stays off, for a while until he's able to get himself and get then. But the physios have actually given him a green light and to go ahead and feature for Manchester United in the game against Crystal Palace. So we are hoping that we are going to see Lisandro Martinez back tomorrow. And also, we hear that Manchester United is looking for a means to get in fullbacks, wingers, and defensive midfielders into the fold. We don't know how soon that will be. We don't know how fast that will be, but that is what it is about right now. Manchester United will be hoping to get in wingers and defensive midfielders as soon as possible. All right, so guys, let us talk about the new rule, the new rule in the game. There are new rules that have been actually some changes. Changes have been done in the game, and these laws just came out this evening. Yeah, the ifab, the International Football Association Board, and this board is responsible for setting the rules of the game. And most of the times this board has actually reviewed the rules of the game, try to make it better, try to make sure that the games, we do not have a boring game. And now they were responsible for the introduction of VAR. They were responsible for the introduction. Uche Cloud, welcome. Yes, Martin Slay, welcome, guys, welcome. all of you guys, everyone who's tuned in, welcome. Thank you so much. So let us talk about the new rule. IFAB have actually put out a disclaimer to make sure to clear that there are new rules that will be coming into the game, and it will be effective from June 2026. And I'm going to read it out for you right now. One of the most important rules will be the countdown for throw-ins. You know, a lot of times when the ball goes out for throw-in, a lot of teams uses it to, as a means to delay a time. You know, most of these teams would not want to take the throw-in as soon as possible. Many of them, you know, use it as a means to pass tactical messages into the team and into their team and all of that. Now IFAB is actually changing the rules. Now it says countdown for throw-ins and goal kicks. Referees can start a 5-second visual countdown if a player takes too long or deliberately delaying a throw-in or a goal kick. If the ball isn't back in play by the end, the opposition gets the possession. Throw-in is reversed. Delayed goal kick becomes a corner kick for the opponent. This builds on previous goalkeeper time wasting rules and targets deliberate delays. Yes. Yeah, because a lot of goalkeepers have actually taken advantage of the goalkeeping area. So they are trying to explain it that this builds on previous goalkeeping time wasting rules and targets deliberate delays. Now, number 2 rule is faster substitution. Substitutions must be completed within 10 seconds. Players leaving the pitch quickly. If not, the incoming substitute must stay off for at least 1 minute. This clearly says that teams are allowed to substitute players under 10 seconds. The player, wherever you are, once your number comes up, you are to exit the field from any angle you are, and then you must not walk back all the way to the dugout. You must exit from anywhere you can. If not, the player coming in stays out for a whole 1 minute and play would continue. So that is one of the rules that IFAB have actually amended, And now the third one, it says injured players staying off. Players who stop play due to injury must remain off the pitch for at least 60 seconds. That's 1 minute, to discourage feigning or tactical breaks. So now if a player gets injured and is wheeled off the field, they must stay out for at least 60 seconds. There are because most of the times players feign injury just to get tactical information from the coach. They just feign injury, and when you take them off, the coach passes a message to them and they run back in. For that reason, if any player stays off, the player has to go 60 seconds, 1 minute, one whole minute outside before coming in. Expanded VAR protocols. Now we are hearing that VAR can now check corners for clear and obvious errors, optional for competitions from summer 2026. Then again, core VAR scope widened to include second yellow card. So VAR is a yellow card that might lead to a red card should be included. VAR should be included. VAR would have to check it to make sure that the referee is making the right call, and also it may be you give a card to the wrong player, that VAR has to come in, or also you give a direct red card, VAR has to come in to check if you can reverse the decision or not. These are actually some of the rules that VAR has actually that the IFAB has brought in. So all of these are the new rules that IFAB has actually brought in to make sure that the game, that we do not have a lot of disgruntled football teams after a game goes on. We remember one incident where in the Champions League, where Ovrebo, I've forgotten the name of this referee, but there against Chelsea, Barcelona, where Chelsea had so many penalty calls, but the coach did not, the referee did not listen at all, and that actually raised a very big problem for the coach, so for the team, and that saw Didier Drogba banging so hard and going so tough on the ref. So for me, these rules are actually welcomed, and it will help the football. I think it helps football, gain much more traction and much more love, from all of us, the fans who are watching football. Also, let us talk about some of the incoming players that we might just see players Manchester United are interested in. The news out there is that Manchester United is interested in a few players. Diomande, one of the players at I think he's Ivory Coast. Yeah, he's one of the players Manchester United are keen and looking at. Also, Manchester United will be looking at Elliot Anderson, because by the end of this season we'll be losing Casemiro. So Manchester United is hoping that we can be able to get a player who would come in to actually fit in the boot of Casemiro. We know that Elliot Anderson is more of an offensive player, and he does not have a lot of defensive. I don't think that he has a lot to offer defensively when it comes to tracking back and making sure he protects the goal properly. We know him. I will practically see Elliot Anderson in the mode of Scott McTominay, right? And one of the things that I've actually asked the question in my previous videos: do you think that Manchester United would have sold Scott McTominay if a coach like Ruben Amorim came in to meet him? I don't think so. I don't feel like Manchester United would have been able to sell Scott McTominay. Also, let us talk about also the let us look at also the other transfer targets that Manchester United might be having. We are looking at Ederson, and the report is that Manchester United is very keen on Ederson. Yes, the Atalanta midfielder. He's been on Manchester United's radar for a very long time, and Manchester United will be looking at getting his services because we'll be needing him if we eventually lose Casemiro. Also, we hear that Manchester United is keen on Angelo Stiller. This is I think this is in connection with Christopher Vivel. I know that Christopher Vivel is one man that is always taking Manchester United down the German route, always wanting Manchester United to always look the German way when it comes to transfers. And as much as we know, most of the players that has come from Germany into the Premier League, I've not seen many of them work out here. I'm going to be very, very emphatic on that. I've not seen a lot of German players work out in England. We know Jurgen Klinsmann at the time. He played for Tottenham Hotspur. We know we've seen Kai Havertz, who's struggling with Arsenal. Yes, he came in. Chelsea. I think Chelsea bought him, and at the same time they bought Timo Werner. And when they came into the Premier League, they actually struggled. I don't know where Timo Werner is right now. Maybe RB Leipzig, but then I don't think that German players have actually thrived in England. Also, we know recently Florian Wirtz, who's playing his trade at Liverpool. I think that he's also not been really efficient for Liverpool as a number 10. So if we look at it, a lot of German players of German descent who come to Manchester, who come to England, have not actually done exceptionally well. Even the days of Bastian Schweinsteiger, he played for Manchester United. I think he played for about 2 seasons or so. I don't know if he won the league with Manchester United, but then I don't think that Bastian Schweinsteiger owned the Premier League in his time at Manchester United. We know that he's a very good player, but then we don't know. I don't think that he actually bossed the league the way we see the likes of Paul Scholes. I think one of the players who's done very well as a German player of German descent. I think that one of the players who have done very well will be Michael Ballack, for Chelsea. I thought that he was actually very good, for Chelsea. Aside from that, we've seen some players who have thrived, some German players who have thrived in England. I don't think that they are actually of German descent. When we look at Mesut Ozil, look at the likes of Elka Gundogan, we look at the likes of Leroy Sani. All of these players are not of German descent, and that is why I feel like they have thrived in the Premier League. But aside from that, players other than that, I think that players who are actually German, who are German by genes, I don't think that they have done exceptionally well in the Premier League. So for me, I think that one thing that we have to know is that Manchester United cannot become what Eric Ten Hag made us to be. Yes, Eric Ten Hag was one man that actually dragged Manchester United backward, buying almost all the players he wanted from Holland. Eric Ten Hag brought in the likes of Anthony. He brought in the likes of Tyrell Malacia. He brought in Lisandro Martinez. Eric Ten Hag also brought in, the same thing. The same thing happened with Louis van Gaal when he was at Manchester United. He brought in the likes of Memphis Depay. He brought in Daley Blind, and so most of the times when these managers come from their country, they tend to push Manchester United looking at their country. This is the same thing Christopher Vivell is doing at Manchester United right now, forcing Manchester United to be looking at German players. And also right now, it was through Christopher Vivell that we got in Benjamin Sesko. And the reason why I like Benjamin Sesko is that Benjamin Sesko is not a German player. He's I think I've forgotten, is he Slovenia or something? He is not a German player, and that is why I know that Benjamin Sesko is going to thrive in England. And also Angelo Stiller, I don't know, because he does not look pure German to me. So I feel like if Angelo Stiller is not pure German, then he might just be able to walk out at Manchester United. So if we look at all of that, I don't think that we should be going for German players in the summer. Also, Vivell has also been keen on Manchester United taking a manager like Julian Nagelsmann. I don't think that for me, Julian Nagelsmann is 38. He's young, and he's not done a lot in the world of football. And if we are going to give the job of Manchester United coach to a young person, then Michael Carrick should be that person. Because aside from Michael Carrick, I think that Michael Carrick fits the bill when it comes to all of the young coaches we have in the world right now. Michael Carrick is the best candidate to get the Manchester United job because he's been here, he's doing a fantastic job right now, and that makes him one of the, if not the best candidate to become the manager for Manchester United at this time. Because if we look at Roberto De Zerbi, he's not done loads in the world of football, and he's been in the Premier League and he did not do too much, and he went to Olympique Marseille. And if we look at Andoni Iraola, these guys have actually been in the Premier League, but they've not dominated the Premier League. They've not shown the caliber of managers they can be. Look at Michael Carrick. With limited resources, no players coming in, he's been able to take Manchester United from sixth to potentially third, jumping three positions into the third position, and is almost guaranteeing Manchester United a Champions League spot. And that is something very, very wonderful. And that is the best way to actually interview a manager for the job. Because tell me, how else can Michael Carrick lay claim to being a good manager, if not the way he has done it, coming in on an interim basis, take the boys without any transfer, without anything, list the boys out there, and he's got in about 6 games, he's won 5 and drawn just 1. That is a massive record. And most Manchester United fans will be like, oh, we've seen this thing before. A lot of Manchester United fans will be like, oh, we've seen this thing before. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done it before. Yes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have won games, but then the difference is too clear, right? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer started with Huddersfield, Cardiff, all of those little teams. Yes, let me pull it out. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 6 games for Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer first 6 games for Manchester United. I think that Ole did not have it, as difficult as Michael Carrick had it. So that is why I will not really I will not really say that we've seen this before. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first six game for Manchester United, he played the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's played the likes of Cardiff, played the likes of Huddersfield, played Bournemouth, he played Newcastle, and then Reading, FA Cup Reading. You get, and in the first six games, he won all of the six, no draws, no losses, scored 17, conceded only two, and had three clean sheets. Now let us bring it down to Michael Carrick. Let us bring it down to Michael Carrick. All right, let us bring it down to Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick started his tenure for Manchester United playing against one of the best managers in the league, if not the best manager in the league has seen in the last 10 years, Pep Guardiola, Man City. He defeated Man City 2-0. He actually outplayed Pep Guardiola on a game like that. And then his second game was against second manager in the league, one of the best in the league, Mikel Arteta with Arsenal, and he beat Arsenal emphatically 3-2. And then his third game was against an industry specialist, Marco Silva, with Fulham, and he beat Marco Silva hands down 3-2. And then he went ahead to play against, is it West Ham? Is it West Ham? Did he play? Was it West Ham? And he went ahead to play West Ham. He drew that game. He went ahead to play Tottenham. He played Fulham, West Ham, Tottenham. And in all of these games, he only drew against West Ham. He beat Fulham, draw against West Ham, beat Tottenham 2-0, and then went to Hill Dixon Stadium to beat Everton. You could see that he's played against the industry specialists, David Moyes, Marco Silva, what's his name? Nuno Espirito Santo, and yes, David Moyes for Everton, Marco Silva for Fulham, Nuno Espirito Santo for West Ham, and Tottenham. He played against I think, was that Igor Tudor? I think Igor Tudor, and yeah, was that Igor Tudor? Be Thomas Frank, whichever. But I know that he beat some of the industry specialists on his way to playing his first 6 games, and in 6 games he's conceded 5 goals and he scored 12, and he has 3 clean sheets. That is massive for Michael Carrick, and that is why I said that Michael Carrick, if we cannot get in a high-profile manager like Luis Enrique, if we cannot get a high-profile manager like Luis Enrique, then we have no choice than taking Michael Carrick, because that Michael Carrick actually has been, of all the candidates, Michael Carrick has been one of the best, if not the best candidate, because he's put his best foot forward. Right, he's actually handled this team like he's handling a very important project, and he's getting wins, right? And and also I want to say this here clearly: the other coaches whom I think are also A-list coaches are all occupied, and Manchester United wants to actually get a manager before the World Cup commences, so that this manager will be able to identify the players he wants to use. He will be able to identify the profile of the players. He will be able to look up their data, and then they can go into work getting in the players that they want to use for next season. And also they also want the coach to be upfront with preparing for preseason after the World Cup. So if you look at it, the movement of the board to actually get a coach before World Cup is actually the best thing to do, because we cannot wait for World Cup to end and start appointing coaches and start doing being hasty with everything. So I think is a good one, a good in the right direction. Manchester United will be looking at appointing that coach before the World Cup starts. So that is it for the coaching aspect of Manchester United Wahala. Let us talk about, we've talked about the new rules, we've talked about the coaching side of things, and now let us talk about Benjamin Sesko starting the game tomorrow. For me, one thing I'm going to say is that I think that we should just allow Michael Carrick to do what he wants to do, because that's the only thing I think he should be done. Allow Michael Carrick do what he wants to do. He is the coach. He's been here. I think that Michael Carrick is the coach. He's been here, and he's not losing. So I don't see any reason why we should be telling him who to start or who not to start. Sesko has come in from bench and has given Manchester United, has scored 3 goals in 3 different consecutive times when he comes from the bench. For me, I think we should allow the manager do what he wants to do. Sesko coming from the bench could be his own style. His could be his own way, and he might have actually discussed that with Sesko, letting him know that you are part of the team, you are part of my team, and I am going to be giving you game time. But this is the plan: you are going to be coming off at the bench, so in this time or in that time, and you're going to help us win games. Because this is we practically have seen this under Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson kept the likes of Chicharito on the bench just for him to bring them on when he wants that killer blow. He kept the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on the bench, right? So Sir Alex Ferguson has been the most. Sir Alex Ferguson has been the most. What would I say? Sir Alex Ferguson has been the most successful coach for Manchester United, right? And in that, he is the yardstick to measure every other manager that comes to Manchester United. And when we look at it like in that manner, we can say that Michael Carrick has been doing wonderful. If Benjamin Sesko has been coming off from the bench and is putting in this level of work for Manchester United, then I think that the manager has to be giving credit. Instead of telling the manager what to do, we should be crediting the manager, and we should be hailing the manager because the manager is doing what he ought to do and doing it well, right? When Michael Carrick was asked in his press conference if he's been using Mbeumo to play the first 9, and he cancelled that. He said it clearly. Mbeumo has not been playing the first 9. Mbeumo has been playing as a number 9. That is what he said in the press conference. Mbeumo has been playing as a number 9, and there is no time he has used him as an off 9 or what do they call him, false 9. And then he talked about the players interchanging, the fluidity in the pace and in how they interchange is something that we might not get with Benjamin Sesko, right? These guys are actually very fluid. Ahmad, Mbeumo, and Cunha, the way they interchange, the way they move in between themselves, it makes it's difficult for defenses to actually pin them down, right? I think that the final third decision for Ahmad has been off this season, but we know that with game time, he's going to come back, firing on all cylinders. Ahmad is a class player. This is something we know clearly, and we know that he's going to come off, and he's been excellent for Manchester United, even if he's not been in the goal contribution, but he's been excellent for Manchester United. We cannot take away everything from what Ahmad is doing, even in as much as we feel like the final thought decisions has been poor from Ahmad. One thing we cannot take away is that Ahmad's contribution defensively cannot go unnoticed. We know that Diogo Dalot many times is not defensively disciplined. In as much as he's a fullback, I think that Diogo Dalot many times switches off, make mistakes, and all of that. And then Ahmad coming back to join him or helping him out in the defensive duties is something. It's an absolute joy to watch. It shows how dedicated Ahmad is, to his job. And all of this, I think, started with Ruben Amorim, because a lot of our players were practically lazy. A lot of our players were not willing to track back. Were not willing to work as hard as possible. And that is why I would always remain grateful to Ruben Amorim for clearing off deadwoods from our team. The likes of Højlund, the likes of Anthony Dos Santos, the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford. All of these players, I will always be grateful to Ruben Amorim for clearing them off, because I knew that when these guys were at Manchester United, they hardly want to track back. They hardly want to do anything defensive. They just want the ball up there. And it wasn't like that. Outputs were very, very good. So I'm going to give credit to Ruben Amorim for that, because without Ruben Amorim, I doubt if Michael Carrick would have come in and sacked these players or sent them out. I doubt if Michael Carrick would have been able to do that. And look at what Michael Carrick has done. He's come into the team and he's actually cut off the training time. He's made the training time smaller. He's given the players a lot more time to rest and all of that, which has not sat down well with me, because I know that there is little space for indiscipline at Manchester United, and allowing the players to do whatever it is that they want to do is not something I think should be accepted. We worked so hard to get these players to be this disciplined, and if we actually deviate from that and go into another, I don't think it will sit down well with a lot of Manchester United fans, because one thing that actually is the key to a lot of teams winning trebles, winning trophies is that one thing is key. It is about being focused. Naeem Alam, welcome. How are you? So it's been being very focused, being very determined. And if we are to compete in the Premier League and in the Champions League next season, we ought to be very focused. For me, I'm going to make a video separately on Ruben Amorim and what might have been with Ruben Amorim. Yes, I'm going to do that because there are a lot of things Ruben Amorim did right with Manchester United. A lot of things. And I feel like if Ruben did not come at the time, probably another manager would not have been able to do it. Another manager would not have been able to send away these players, especially that Garnacho. I don't think that we would have been able to send Garnacho away, right? So for me, I think that it was a step in the right direction that Ruben Amorim got these guys out and invested in getting in Premier League proven players. Because imagine, look at that pass from Cunha into the path of Mbeumo. Do you think that if it was Garnacho, he would have done that? I doubt. Do you think if it was Anthony, he would have done that? Absolutely not. Sancho maybe, but what discipline does Sancho have? What discipline does he have? Look at look at what these guys have done. Naeem Alam says, do you know? Let me bring out Naeem. Let me bring out his comment. Naeem says, Ugarte versus Leon in the opening goal was fire. Yes, it was fire. And also, do you know I discover Ugarte has secret potential? We should loan him to relegation battling time in EP. What? Why loan him to a relegation battling side? Listen, Ugarte has not been able to improve himself. He's not been able to do something to actually capture the mind of the fans and all of that. Many times he's come on and he's not. They call him the destroyer. I've not been able to understand what Ugarte destroys for Manchester United. Actually, it's been really, really difficult to understand what he does. He cannot break up plays. He cannot put in a decent pass. He cannot travel with the ball. There is little or nothing I see Ugarte can do aside from wearing jersey and running up and down the field. That is the only thing I see Ugarte do. I think that he can improve himself. Yes. Do I think that he can improve? Yes. Do I think that he has the brain to improve? Yes. I feel like that. He's actually quite young. How old is Ugarte? How old is Manuel Ugarte? I think Manuel Ugarte is in his early 20s. Yeah. How old is Manuel Ugarte? I think he's in his early 20s. Yeah. Maybe 25, 26, Manuel Ugarte. So I think he will get to his prime very soon, and he will be able to give Manchester United something to cheer on. But for now, Ugarte has not been. Ugarte is, as a matter of fact, Ugarte is 24 years old. He will be 25 by April 11, 2026. So Ugarte is 24 years old, and let's see. He says, bro, if you watched Ugarte versus Newcastle this season, he got rating like solid 7/10. Yes, Ugarte comes good in some games, not all the games. That is what you have to understand. Ugarte comes good in some games, but not all of the games. And a player who is not consistent like that we cannot rely on a player who is not that consistent. That is one thing I think that we ought to know. We cannot be reliant on a player like Ugarte who offers us little, or who offers us little. Look at it. Okay, at the end of the season, Barcelona believes that Manchester United will be selling Lisandro Martinez. Up until this time, Manchester United have not offered a new contract to Lisandro Martinez. And why is that? Maybe because we think that he's injury prone. Maybe we think that he's going to be another Luke Shaw. Maybe we think that he's not going to, fulfill all of the potentials as to why we bought him. But when we look at Lisandro Martinez play for Manchester United, he gives everything. He is one of the leaders. He is in his prime. He understands the Premier League. He plays very well, and every time he has come up against Erling Haaland, he practically pocketed him. And this is something I think that has been really, really beautiful for Lisandro Martinez. But then ability to stay fit has been a problem for Lisandro Martinez. And this season, we are only but watching him and hoping that he does not go injured again. And I will do anything. For me, as a fan, I will do anything to hold down Lisandro Martinez at Manchester United, because he is a warrior. He is a fighter. He never gives up. He never gives up. He never stays down. Whatever happens, Lisandro Martinez comes back fighting. And this is why I want to keep a character like that at the club. We are going to manage his injury because he is impeccable whenever he plays for Manchester United. His ability to pass the ball, his intricate passes, defense splitting passes, his ability to run into the midfield with the ball, his press resistance. He can take them short. He can pull out some of those world class passes. He can go in on one, two passes and all of that. I think that this guy actually can even fill in the boots of Casemiro in that defensive midfield area. I am looking at him and I'm thinking about it that someday this guy might just play the defensive midfield role for Manchester United. A player like Lisandro Martinez. I am looking at him. I am actually critically looking at him, and the way he plays, the way he controls the pace of the game, the way he scans the pitch. It has everything to do with a midfielder, a defensive midfielder. He can put in those crosses, he can put in those passes, and he can shoot. So for me, I think that I would do everything to hold down Lisandro Martinez by the end of the season, so that he can actually come in and give. See, it is not about all of the things he does on the field. Also, his experience. This guy he's 28 or so. Yes, Lisandro Martinez. He's 28. I think so. Lisandro Martinez age. He's about 28. And for me, I think that 28 is a good age. That is a player in his prime. We can, give him maybe 3 years contract. 31, he can go. Yes, I'm right. He was January 18, made him 28 years, and he's in his prime. We can get off 3 years from him, and if he manages to stay fit in 3 years, Manchester United can get the best out of Lisandro Martinez. And I'm telling you, with a player like Lisandro Martinez in Manchester United, we might actually win the league. Yes, I'm saying this, no bias. I'm not trying to hype him or put him in a position where he does not belong. I think that we might be able to win the league with a player like Lisandro Martinez. This is this is my 2 cents about it. Yes, I think that is it for Lisandro Martinez, and that is it for me for Benjamin Sesko. I think that we do not have a reason to start, talking about Benjamin Sesko starting the game or not. I think that Benjamin Sesko has done enough to start the game. And if he does not start for Manchester United, it simply means that the coach has an agenda and there is a plan, and we have to respect the coach, because at the end of the day, we have no right to actually be questioning the coach, because he's getting the wins. As long as he's getting the wins, then there is no reason to question the coach on what he chooses to do. These players are his players, and the players ought to respect the coach. The players are not allowed to throw tantrums and all of that. Look at that, and this is another reason why I give it up for Benjamin Sesko. He's been on the bench since he came into the club, and he has not thrown tantrums at any time. Instead, he's even more poised, to develop himself as a striker that plays in the Premier League. The Premier League is the best league in the world. If you can survive in the Premier League, you can survive anywhere else. The Premier League is a league that has intensity. It's a league of transitions, a league that is so strong, and duels matters. Transitional football. If you can't win duels, you can't win headers, you can't win crosses, and all of that, you are not going to survive in the Premier League. And this is one thing that Benjamin Sesko has come to understand, and he is working on himself. I remember when Ruben Amorim came to Manchester United, Casemiro was overweight, and he had to take Casemiro off the team because he felt like Casemiro was overweight. What did Casemiro do? He did not throw tantrums. He went out there being a professional, trimmed up himself, trained very hard, trained really harder, and came back in the right weight. And what happened? He gained the starting spot for Manchester United in that defensive area, and he was class. He was class. So if we see players who throw tantrums and become agitated and wanting to start games, by all means, I just know that these guys are not going to be doing well for Manchester United. And this is why I love Benjamin Sesko. He has shown that he's come to Manchester United to succeed. He has shown that he is here to succeed, and that is what I want him to do. Also, there is a rumor that Manchester United might have been is close to renewing Harry Maguire's contract. Yes, that rumor is out there that Manchester United is close to renewing Harry Maguire's contract. And if that is anything to go by, then it clearly means that Harry Maguire might have decided to take a pay cut. We don't know how much Harry Maguire would have cut his pay to, but then we know that Harry Maguire might have decided to take a pay cut to actually remain at Manchester United beyond the summer of 2027. Yes, Lisandro Martinez also, his contract will expire soon. We are hoping that Lisandro Martinez does not become a free agent, because by next season his contract will be coming to an end. And Manchester United, I know, should be giving Lisandro Martinez a new contract. He is a very, very important part of Manchester United's recent squad. Also, we hear that on transfers, Manchester United, we hear that we are going for a few players. Also, we might just lose Bruno Fernandes. Okay, the news we are getting is that if Manchester United qualify for Champions League, Bruno Fernandes might stay at the club further. He might just decide to do the remainder of his career at Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes is above 30. He's I think 31 or 32. And if we can get out 3 more years or 4 more years out of Bruno Fernandes, then we can say, yes, this guy has served Manchester United enough. This is 2026. He's been 6 years here at the club, and he's been the best player post Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes, he's been the best signing, and we are just getting players that can maybe rival him recently in the likes of Cunha, Mbeumo, and Ahmad. We are just getting these players that might rival him. But ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, up until now, this is why we are very grateful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for signing Bruno Fernandes, because Bruno Fernandes has been the best player for Manchester United ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United. So for me, we are good to go when it comes to the game tomorrow, Crystal Palace. Let us pull up Crystal Palace first team, and let us look at the players we might just be facing. Crystal Palace team sheet. We might just be facing some of Crystal Palace, top players. We know that they have Adam Wharton. We know that they have Eddie Nketiah. We know Ismail Assar, one of their strikers. Jean-Philippe Mateta, their striker. We know Daniel Munoz. Crystal Palace also have, their goalkeeper used to be our academy boy, Dean Henderson, right? And also, we know that they have Crisanto Suche, a Nigerian international. We know they have Will Hughes, and I think I'm trying to remember all of the players now, but then this is a very decent squad. They have players who can actually get goals for them. They have players who can actually get goals for them. Yes, Crystal Palace have players, Jean-Philippe Mateta and Ismail Assar. These players actually are very, very good on a half turn, on a half chance. They can hurt Manchester United. In as much as we have a very good goalkeeper in Sani Lamens, whose reflexes are looking really sharp, but I think that if we lose our guard, Crystal Palace might just be able to hurt us. But the good thing is that we are playing at Old Trafford. We have the Old Trafford faithfuls behind Manchester United, and we know that the boys will be poised. Knowing that they have a means to get into the third position, that will be very, very classy. For the boys, it will be very, very beautiful for them to get into that third position. Not a lot of people gave them the chance. Not a lot of people thought that they can actually do it and get into this third position. But then it is something really commendable that Manchester United is here in this position now, and we are having a glimpse of Champions League football right in the middle of the season. I thought that we deserve to be in the Champions League because we invested wisely. We handled the goalkeeping section as well as handling the attack. And Manchester United is joint highest goal scorers in the EPL. So that clearly shows how good we have become. If you look at the people like last season, let us pull up the 2020. Let us pull up the 2024-2025 table, and I want to show you something. Last season, Manchester United was 15th in the table. We ended 15th in the table. In case you don't know how improved Manchester United is, in case you don't know how improved we are, last season we were 15th in the table, and the people who were around us in that 15th were West Ham was 14th. Okay, let's start from 13. Everton was 13, West Ham 14, Manchester United 15, Wolverhampton Wanderers 16, Tottenham 17, Leicester City relegated, Ipswich Town relegated, Southampton relegated. And now let us pull up the current EPL table, and I want to show you something. I want to read out something for you real quick. Last season we had the likes of Tottenham, we had the likes of Everton in that position. And this season, let us look at this season. This season, Manchester United is fourth, right? We still have West Ham in 18th position this season, then Nottingham Forest, then still Tottenham, then Leeds, then Brighton, and now Crystal Palace. So you can see that Manchester United have developed a great deal. We are looking far, far better than what we used to be. We are looking a lot more better than what we used to be, and now we are hoping to get into the top three. So that tells you that we have invested wisely, and that our investment this season has paid off for Manchester United. If we go ahead to get Champions League football, then I can now believe in Omar Berrada, Jason Wilcox, and Christopher Vivel. I can practically believe in them because these guys were the guys who were keen on changing it, on transforming Manchester United. And we know what Dan Ashworth was about to do to us. Dan Ashworth was one of the Manchester United executives that wanted to bring in Harry Abbey. What's his name? Potter, from Brighton to Manchester United. And I wondered how that would have been possible, where Manchester United would have been with such a manager. But then, we went out there to bring in Ruben Amorim, whom, by the way, I think was not a bad coach at Manchester United. We, the fans, we were clamoring for a lot more, but I didn't think, or I didn't believe that Ruben Amorim was exactly a bad coach, because he handled off-field duties, and he did it excellently. He instilled discipline at the club. He instilled, he brought back focus, and he expelled most of the players who were causing problem for Manchester United. I'll tell you something that happened in the Europa League final, where Manchester United lost to Tottenham and 1-0. And then the players were all sobbing, upset, angry. But Alejandro Garnacho was more about himself. more about not playing him rather than the whole team suffering together. Alejandro Garnacho chose to call out the coach, and he was keen on why the coach didn't play him, why the coach left him on the bench and brought him later on in the game. And even while he was brought on, Alejandro Garnacho did not affect the game in any way. So for me, all of those toxicity is gone from Manchester United. Player power is gone from Manchester United. All of these things, Ruben Amorim ended them at Manchester United. So for me, he was not a really bad coach. He did what he had to do. He didn't work out on the pitch with for him, or maybe it was taking a lot more time for it to work out on the pitch for him. But then overall, I would not say Ruben Amorim was a bad coach for Manchester United, because for me, if I look at what Michael Carrick has done in recent days, when it comes to decision making, off-field decision making, then I am almost sure that Michael Carrick would not have been able to send all of these players out of the club. Yes, he would not have been able. Michael Carrick looks to me a lenient guy. He looks to me a United boy that wants the job desperately. He's ready to please the players just so he can have the job. And that was the same thing I saw with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was going down the drain, but he was ready to also please the boys just for him to have to stay on the job. And that led to the massive indiscipline we witnessed. And that actually made Eric Ten Hag job very difficult, because he was struggling with dealing with players who had massive egos and also trying to get results on the field, and it was not working out for him. So for me, I felt like Ruben Amorim did something really good for us in the Premier League table. In the off field, I thought he did something good for us, and I would always, give him that credit for what he's done at Manchester United. And then I'm going to say that if anything happens, if at all anything happens, we need to give the job to Michael Carrick, because I don't think that Julian Nagelsmann or Roberto De Zerbi or Massimiliano Allegri or Simeon Inzaghi or whichever coach, I don't think that any of these guys will come to England and survive, especially when we still have Mikel Arteta and Pep in the league. I don't think that any of these guys will come and survive. And Michael Carrick has shown that he has the courage and he has the power to fight against these monsters. If you cannot fight against them, then you don't have a chance in the Premier League. This is what this is what Arteta and then Pep Guardiola is doing in the Premier League, dominating every scene, making it a two-horse race until I think that Michael Carrick is one man that will come in and disrupt it and make sure that it is not a one-team league, because that is what it's looking. It's looking like Manchester City every season, right? Yes, they have closed the gap. They are only 2 points behind Arsenal at this time, and Arsenal will be playing against Chelsea. How about that PE teacher? How about that guy, stalling it for Arsenal, and maybe Arsenal draws? Then that will mean that Arsenal will be ahead of City with just 3 points. And I think that City is ahead of them on goal difference, right? Let me look at the goal difference. The goal difference. Okay, Arsenal is ahead of City on goal difference. Arsenal has 32, and Arsenal has 35, and City has 32. So even if City even if City gets all 3 points, they will still be second until they can topple Arsenal on points. Or maybe City has to score 3, maybe 4. City have to score an unreplied 4 for them to go on top of Arsenal in the Premier League table. So for me, I think that everything is working in favor of Manchester United at this time. So Manchester United only have to win their games, and this game against Crystal Palace is a game I think that Manchester United can win. Crystal Palace are not in their best form right now, and they are 13th on the Premier League table, and they have won 2 of their last 5, lost 2, and drawn 1. So, and if you look at it, the Crystal Palace have lost one of their very, very, very good defender in Mark Gay. They lost him to Arsenal, and they lost him to Man City, and he's actually looking really good at Man City and looking poised to lift a Premier League title. So for me, I say this thing clearly. Everything is working in favor of Manchester United. Manchester United have to win their game. Arsenal and Chelsea have to draw. And if all of that happens, Manchester United winning their game will keep them in a very, very good space going into next weekend when we face Newcastle. I think Newcastle also is struggling, so we might just be able to get 2 wins, and then we'll face Aston Villa. Anyhow, which way, we know that Manchester United will get that 3rd place, and they are going to sit pretty there. So, guys, this is it for tonight. Thank you so much to all of you who joined. Your love and your patience in staying glued to this channel is something I'm not taking for granted. I love all of you so much. Thank you. We've done 1 hour on this live broadcast, and I believe that all of the news that we've gotten has stuck in. I'll see you again, guys, after the Crystal Palace game. Let us talk and analyze the game. See you again once more. Thank you so much, guys. Everybody who has joined, I love you all. Click on the subscribe button, click on the notification button. I also drop videos on this channel, and so when I drop the videos, you can get them thick and fast. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.